So here's a quick aquaponics update. Since I posted my last video, which I didn't have really anything in here, I had no water, I had no media, I had no fish, and it's been running for about a month now. Numbers are great. Everything's been steady for about 3 weeks now. pH is good. Ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates are all at levels that are seem to be working out pretty well. Just like to talk about a few things I learned along the way. First thing was in this sump tank down here. My first pump that I bought was a 300 gallon per hour industrial pump, and it had a little screen where the water would come in, and there was really no way for it to kind of clear itself, and it would clog it at a moment's notice. And so got rid of that as quick as I could, and I put in a new 300 gallon per hour that I got just on Amazon. I even forget what kind it is. I believe it's a Quiet One, actually, Quiet One 1200, and that's been working really well for the last 3-4 weeks. So I've got it connected to some flexible tubing, and you can see the ball valve down in the water down there, and that's kind of the overflow. I don't have the full amount of water running straight up to the tank. That was the first kind of good thing I did was get that pump changed out. And then you can see that far half-inch tubing goes all the way up and dumps out into the fish tank. And in the fish tank, it's about a 10-gallon tank. You can see the water coming out there. I've got some native cutthroat trout that I grabbed from actually an irrigation ditch with a minnow catcher, and through startup and cycling I probably lost 10 of them, and I've still got about 20 left. And again, that aluminum is just a kind of a splash guard. My automatic feeder was getting a little bit wet and it was kind of splashing everywhere, so I just kind of made a little aluminum kind of splash guard. So I guess the biggest mod I've made so far that I've been really happy with has been this SLO, and you can kind of see it in the back there. There's a T, and it comes out here, or it goes in here, I guess. What I did was I put a cap on the end, and I drilled a bunch of holes, and I kind of angled it towards the side of the tank, and it seems to be doing a really great job of sucking up any of the solids, the poop, or the fish food that hasn't been eaten yet, and brings that up to the biofilter. Before I leave the tank, I also have this this kind of overflow, which, because I'm using half-inch tubing, it's not big enough. I would definitely use a bigger one, but I had this overflow that I had made, and you can see I kind of drilled some holes in this elbow, and it keeps the fish food that floats from going back into the sump tank, which the overflow goes directly into. And it's been working well, and I haven't had any overflows for a long time, so that's great. But again, going out this SLO, kind of following down into the biofilter here. So the biofilter is just, there's a plastic down here that keeps the screen material, which probably starts here and goes to about here, which you know is a place for all the bacteria to grab onto, just kind of screen door material. So it comes out here. It's the first exit, which would go through this ball valve and goes to the grow bed, but it's also got an overflow up here, which is always running. But this was a great little mod here. I put in because of all those solids that are coming out of the tank and hanging out down below where that plastic is that I have down here before the screen material, I can actually open this ball valve, and a bunch of sludge and good water comes out. It's been working really great. So following this down in the grow bed, you can see the water coming out down there. It's got a little bit of algae growth on the outside of that. So growth has been good. I've got some cucumber plants, I've got some lettuce plants, I've got some plants that I started from seed, that one, and I've got some tomato plants that I've actually started from seed over here. I just put some worms in this yesterday. I put them in this corner where it was wet. I probably put about 30 in there, and within about 10 minutes they had all kind of disappeared into the media. So I'm excited to see what they can do. My lighting system is these 3 lights you see here. I've got 2 of the sodium lights, one on the right and one on the left there. The one on the left is on at this point, and a fluorescent in the middle. So I'm kind of trying to do kind of a, over the day it moves from one side to the other. The one on the right goes on in the morning, the middle one comes on mid-afternoon, and then the left one comes on at night. And these are all on timers, and this fan is also on the timer. And you can kind of see in the back there, down on the ground where the plug comes out, is a kilowatt, so I can see how much power usage per day, and I think I'm using about 9 or 10 cents per day of power, which I can definitely deal with. So this here aluminum cover covers the where the bell siphon used to be. I used to run this on about 11-minute cycles as a fill and drain, and I actually went to a constant flow. And I just covered it up recently because there was some algae growth happening in the constant flow down there. So, and again, it dumps out into the sump tank down here. And again, I'll give you a little shot of the fish, the trout that are happy, and I haven't lost any for 2 or 3 weeks now. One of them jumped out and tried to commit suicide, but luckily I had this bucket down here. This morning I came down and the fish was hanging out in the bucket, so one life saved. But you know, new system, thinking about doing a bigger system so these trout can grow, and learn a few things along the way. So if you have any questions about this or the biofilter or this SLO, just let me know. Happy aquaponics. Adios.